Roll up a bit of a it accelerates your organization's efficiency. Hi there, my name is Scott Van Dam. I'm with my good friend and colleague Paul Hart. He's our chief, for lack of a better word, chief gearhead here at Wagware. And as part of our Wagware Strategy Lab blog, we decided to start a video series on optimizing the enterprise. So, Paul, before we begin, I think some people know about me if they've been following along in the blogs because I've been writing a lot. But for you, you're fairly new to the blog.
Yep.
Can you at least tell our audience what it is you do here? Give a bit about your background, kind of applications you've worked with, and just to kind of set the tone.
Sure. So I have a technology background, primarily software development. I've got about a decade's worth of experience, a little bit more than that, in a variety of industry verticals. So things like finance, marketing, ISPs, and now utilities. Great.
So today we're actually going to talk about the steps to successfully implement a large piece of enterprise software. In your journey, what are some of the, I guess, the roadblocks or barriers that organizations are faced with when trying to implement enterprise applications?
Well, I think the biggest one that you find up front is that companies really don't describe what their objective is very well. And if they try to, they don't really get buy-in from all the stakeholders within their organization and from their third-party vendors.
So what you're saying is it all pretty much comes down to communication.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I know at Wagware we use when we're involved in large enterprise applications and implementing and supporting those implementations, we have some sort of methodology. I know it's 9 steps. We don't have time for all 9 steps, but could you maybe speak to the process as a whole, and then over the course of the week, or the series, this video series, will explain each step.
Sure. So the first step, and probably the very most important step, showing the paper here, the most important step is the project vision. So I was just saying, if you fail to describe the project accurately, then the folks who are going to be working on the project and the folks who are going to be affected by the project won't understand what you're trying to accomplish, and that failure to buy in to a given project will likely result in project.
So let's talk about defining the project vision.
Sure.
Project vision to me is all about a charter document, some document that you as a project lead might use as a tool to engage stakeholders.
Absolutely.
What kind of stuff would you want to throw into that document when we're talking about the first step?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily, every project is different. Okay. So the contents of the document will vary by project, obviously. I think more important than what goes into the document is the process by which you develop the document.
Okay.
So the action of finding key stakeholders, buying in, of getting them to buy into your process, involving everyone who's going to be affected by the project, so you have a collaborative process from the very beginning, is as important as what comes out of it at the end of the process.
And I would think as you go through that process that the problems could change, or those problems could potentially become bigger.
Absolutely.
And as you're implementing your project charter and you're involving your stakeholders, that problem could become more significant.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural that everybody walks around with their set of assumptions. So let's say your boss has come along to you, or your client has come along and said, we want to go and do this project. We want to implement this new process. So you've received that information, and you come back, you have your own set of assumptions based on your experience. But when you then go and talk to the folks that are going to be involved in the project, odds are that they have a completely different story than you do. And so what you thought the project would be versus what it actually ends up being after the process could be completely different.
Right. So maybe let's paint a story. So I have a sales background, You know, we're looking, obviously salespeople are always looking for leads and better ways to improve the sales process.
Sure.
Let's consider if we decided to implement a major CRM package
Yep.
without involving, let's say, purchasing.
Okay.
What's a potential hiccup?
So you basically, let's say, in this situation, the sales guys, they're fully involved in the project, they're getting everything they absolutely want, a piece of software has been chosen, there's press releases going out, you bring in a bunch of consultants who are really expensive from the software vendor, they're implementing code, you have a big ceremony at the end of it, and then the purchasing people see it for the very first time, and it does nothing that they need. It doesn't interact with their systems or their processes, and what from sales is a successful project, for the company as a whole, turns into a huge problem. And
Right.
you end up with another massive project to either deal with the outfall of this, or maybe even to scrap it and go back to a system that everybody can work with together.
Right. And I guess one of the things I was getting at with that question is if, you know, you look at the purchasing department and your sales department, if I'm selling widgets, whether it's mugs, pens, whether it's auto parts,
Yep.
if sales is doing a good job and I've improved my process and purchasing wasn't in the loop, we may run out of raw material, we may run out of supplies, and
Yep.
the planning in that particular case is pooched because
Yes.
you know, we didn't involve that key stakeholder.
Purchasing may not even be aware that you guys are making sales, and so you're not really, if you don't have that follow through at the end, is it really a sale?
Right. And I guess that's really what it's all about. Enterprise applications are supposed to take down the silos, all those communication silos that exist within an organization, and allow an organization more and more to become flat. And I would think the more flat your organization becomes, the more competitive you're going to be as an organization as well.
Sure, communication equals success.
Right. So that's about it for today. Next week we're going to talk a little bit more about evaluating the existing business processes, a second really important part in optimizing the enterprise. So thank you.